Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we're looking at this orchid, Phalaenopsis mock Choi U. This is a primary hybrid. It's a cross between Gigantea and Violacea indigo. This orchid is not new to my collection. In fact, I have had this orchid for 4 years, but this time it is its first time blooming for me. When I first purchased this orchid, it was a near mature sized plant, but I did not think it would take me 4 years, but it did. Okay, so before the bloom, I had previously repotted this orchid, and these are some of the photos I took. I wanted to repot the orchid because it had a lot of area roots, and I wanted to make sure that this orchid can grow better. So because I wanted the area roots to be repotted back into the container. So I basically did a sort of a semi gentle repot, if you will, because I reused the media mixture and the area roots. After they were wet, I just gently pushed them into the container, and this is what it looked like after the repot. At the time, you may see a little bit of like light yellow within the leaf. That's because of probably because of the grow light, because it was pretty close to a large grow light, and I think it might have just gotten a little bit too much light exposure. But since then, I've made some adjustments, and the newer leaves have greened up quite a bit. And here you can see there is still some space within the container, and it's okay because you don't always have to fill it up so much. It's okay to have a little bit of room between the roots and pebbles. It's okay, and I also tried to fill it up as much as possible, but again, some space inside the container, it's totally fine. It actually provides a little bit more room for roots to grow. The container has drainage holes at the bottom, so this setup is a traditional setup, meaning there's holes at the bottom but within organic media, which are the pebbles that do not break down over time. And coming up, we'll start to see the photos I took along the process during this bloom cycle. So when I saw the flower spike emerging, I was very, very thrilled because it had been so many years that I was just, I wasn't giving up on this orchid, but I was just kind of like, okay, that's fine. I'll just keep enjoying the leaves, because with Gigantea in its parentage, the leaves are really substantial and much larger than a lot of my Phalaenopsis orchid. So I usually kind of just look at this orchid as a leafy plant versus a flowering orchid. So with Gigantea in the background, this orchid bloom is very, I want to say substantial. It's very thick, substantial. It's not waxy per se, but you can still definitely feel the waxiness of the flower. The reason I know that is I sometimes can't help it but use my finger and just kind of feel the thickness of the flower. So some of these photos, because I have grow lights in my grow space, so some of the photos, the flowers look a little lighter and with a little bit of backlit light in the background. That's the grow light. I did that on purpose just so you can see the markings, the marking distribution of the flower from a different way. Because some of these photos you can see the marking but not very clearly. So with lights in the background, you can actually see the markings coming from the Gigantea parent. This orchid is also fragrant, and because with Gigantea the fragrance is no longer exactly like Violacea, which to me doesn't always smell that great. You know, it's spicy, and sometimes it almost smells like, I don't know, some kind of cleaning solution that you will find at pharmacies. So it's not as pleasant as Bellina smell, but with Gigantea in the background, it's a lot more pleasant. The fragrance is a lot more pleasant, and something I would like better than the smell of Phalacia. I have another Gigantea primary hybrid, and that one is the Gigabelle or Gigabelle. It's a cross between Gigantea and Bellina. That one, the flower also has markings, but it's more, the marking, or I guess the dots, are much smaller and are more distributed toward the center of the flower. This one is almost, I would say, evenly distributed throughout the entire flower, which is what I was hoping to have for both plants. But the other one, unfortunately, doesn't have quite the same kind of marking distribution, which is fine because they're all grown from seeds. They're not stem propagated, so you can't really be sure exactly how they will look like. And that's the beauty of seed-grown orchids, is every orchid may have its own characteristics. So it's almost like a lottery, really. Okay, and the other plant, the Gigabelle, was also maturing a bud, but unfortunately they always, I was hoping that they would have some kind of overlap in terms of blooming, but it didn't happen this time around, so I couldn't put them side by side for you to see. But next time around, hopefully when I have a chance, I'll definitely make a side by side comparison. And here you can see that the many roots continue to grow even to the bottom, but some of these roots, I kept them really dry, and this is before I gave them water, so a lot of the roots look a little sad, but they're actually absolutely alive. They're just a little dry, but the new roots then, during the repot clip, they are now much older, but this orchid is doing great. Right now, I think it would take me another 2 years before I need to repot it, because right now the amount of aerial roots are rather it's rather manageable, so I don't really need to repot this orchid right away. But yeah, also currently has 2 long roots. All in all though, I'm pretty satisfied with this orchid's bloom, even though it took me 4 years and it only gave me 1 bloom this time, but it was also maturing its second bud, so hopefully that one would also come to fruition. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!